With each day, as we get closer to the final stage of the 2024 presidential election, polls are beginning to reveal expected and justifiable changes across the country. There are surprising shifts in key states with more competitive races, and even traditionally strong Republican states are looking more competitive than anyone anticipated. Let's delve into the latest polling data to analyze the state of the race between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. As of today, states like Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Tennessee, South Carolina, West Virginia, Kentucky, Missouri, Kansas, most of Nebraska, both Dakotas, Indiana, Ohio, Wyoming, Idaho, and Utah are firmly in Trump's column. On the other hand, Washington, Oregon, California, Hawaii, Colorado, Illinois, New York, New Hampshire, Vermont, Connecticut, New Jersey, Delaware, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Maryland, and the District of Columbia are solidly in Harris's column. Iowa and Alaska were previously in Trump's column, but new polls show them as much more competitive. Trump's lead is shrinking by the day, which clearly doesn't play in his favor. Let's talk about Iowa, a much more competitive state than it has been in recent years. The shift in Iowa reflects a broader trend of traditionally Republican states becoming competitive. While Trump still maintains a slight lead, the fact that Iowa is now competitive shows that Harris is gaining momentum, perhaps due to her strong debates, speeches, and effective messaging. If this trend continues, Iowa could go from a reliably red state to a Democrat-leaning area in the coming weeks. Minnesota remains a Democratic stronghold, where Harris leads by a comfortable. This margin makes Minnesota one of the most reliable states in Harris's column, and it is unlikely that Trump can change the dynamics here in his favor. Wisconsin is another key state that Trump won in 2016 by a narrow margin. However, that appears to be changing in 2024. Harris is currently leading by a small margin, and while it's far from a decisive advantage, it's enough to tilt the state in her favor. Wisconsin was a critical state for both parties in the last election, and Harris's ability to maintain even a small lead here is crucial to her overall strategy. Michigan is just as competitive, with Harris holding on to a narrow 1-point lead, similar to Wisconsin. Michigan, a state that was historically part of the Democratic stronghold, helped Trump secure his 2016 win. However, the state returned to the Democratic side in 2020, and Harris hopes to keep it that way. A 1-point lead is far from a guarantee, but it gives Harris an edge in the final weeks of the campaign. In Pennsylvania, often considered a major battleground state, Trump has just begun to overtake Harris, giving him a slight edge. Both campaigns have invested significant resources in Pennsylvania, and the contest here is expected to go down to the wire. If Trump manages to win Pennsylvania, it will greatly improve his chances of reaching the 270 electoral votes needed to secure the election. Virginia remains a likely Democratic state, where Harris has held the edge for several election cycles. Virginia is increasingly trending blue, and Trump is unlikely to make significant gains here. Harris can count on Virginia's 13 electoral votes as part of her path to victory. North Carolina has traditionally leaned Republican in presidential elections, though it has been competitive in recent cycles. Trump holds a slight advantage here, but the race remains close. If Harris can make gains in the final weeks of the campaign, North Carolina could become a key pickup for Democrats. Georgia is another battleground state, with the latest polls showing the candidates in a tight race. Trump holds a slight advantage in the aggregate, so for now, the state leans in his favor. Georgia was a crucial swing state in the last election, and its 16 electoral votes are critical for both campaigns. With Trump's small margin of victory, Harris will have to invest heavily in Georgia to close the gap, but the state remains in play. Florida is one of the most important states in every election, and this year is no exception. Trump currently holds a relatively strong 6-point lead over Harris. Florida's 29 electoral votes are crucial, and while Harris will continue to campaign in the state, Trump's advantage suggests Florida may remain Republican. This state, along with the next one, Texas, has become increasingly competitive in recent weeks. Texas, with its 40 electoral votes, is another key state for Trump. He leads by 9 points, making Texas firmly Republican. Although some Democrats hope Texas could turn blue in the near future, the state remains reliably Republican in presidential elections. Harris is unlikely to win Texas, but her campaign may still focus on it to force Trump to spend resources defending his lead. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned and keep an eye on the tight races in the political arena every day.